What's up, everybody? I am Rain. How the hell are ya? As promised, I'm going to be doing a how-to video on how I set up my Ocarina of Time randomizer seeds. It's very simple, guys. A caveman can do this. Go to the website OoT That's OOT Randomizer.com. Select the generator tab, go down to 6.0. That's the most current version. Select that, and you'll be taken to this page here. You can do a couple of things on this page here. The one primary one that you might want to pay attention to is the settings presets down here. You can do a preset for default, beginner, easy mode, etc., etc. You can look through them. However, me personally, I don't do any preset because I have my own custom rules and own custom logic, which I'm going to be getting into today. So let's go ahead and get into those main rules here. Up next to the options here, the ROM options, you'll see a main rules tab. Go ahead and click on the main rules tab, and you got a bunch of settings here. I always go glitchless. You want glitchless in there, unless you know all of the glitches and moves and how to get through, how to bypass stuff. So I always select glitchless. That way, for the most part, it's going to be beatable no matter what. Moving on down, this section is for which parts of the world do you want open, as far as some of the areas here. So in the Kokiri Forest, where Mido is usually standing there waving his hand in your face saying you can't progress without a sword and a shield, that is always going to be open for me, because in a randomizer you may not always have a sword and a shield. But you can still, for the most part, get in that dungeon no matter what it is. If it's the Deku Tree, or if you have that randomized as well, it could be something completely different that you need to get into. So I always have that open. Same with Kakariko Gate. There's no point in having that closed off anyway, because you almost always get the letter from Zelda right at the beginning anyway. I do not have the Door of Time opened because I like to have the Song of Time to be able to progress into that. That way I can, for the most part, sometimes get to play both as a child and an adult. Zora's Fountain, I leave this closed. I like being able to find the Ruto's letter somewhere. That way it can get me into the Jabu Jabu area as a child, and then if you do that as a child, it'll automatically be moved as an adult. Except for the king, it's just going to be an icicle. Kingsicle, if you will. Moving on down, you got Gerudo Fortress. I always do this just to save time and convenience, just to save one carpenter instead of having to save all 6. That's just a whole lot easier, or 5, however many there are. I just like to save one of them. Moving down for the medallions. This is going to be for the Rainbow Bridge going into Ganondorf's castle. You can set this to whatever you want. You can set this to vanilla requirements, which again is medallions, spiritual stones, how many dungeons you've completed, or how many golden Skulltula tokens you have, or always open. I like to keep it on medallions. That way it takes the whole entire spire of challenges out of the equation. Because that's something I don't think anyone really likes to do. But you can set the number of medallions to 1 or all 6. Ganon's trials, how many trials you want to do before it weakens the gate. That way you can progress up into defeat Ganondorf. You can actually turn those number of trials down as well. Moving over to the next column over in the world, these are just world settings. How do you want to start? You want to start as a child, an adult, or random? I just set it as adult. Shuffle interior entrances off. I turn this off just because I don't want to walk through a shop and have it take me to I don't know, the Skulltula token house. So I like to keep it simple for my brain. The only entrances that I will ever shuffle is moving down to the next setting, is the shuffle dungeon entrances. That basically swaps out all of the dungeons and the temples, and both of the bottom of the well and the Gerudo training ground. Those are both considered to be temples or dungeons. So I like to have those shuffled in the mix. It keeps it fresh every time. And that's pretty much all I shuffle as far as entrances goes. The owl drops. As a kid, if you walk up and talk to the owl, he'll take you to somewhere. I like to randomize that because it's fun to see where it goes. It serves no real purpose. Sometimes it takes me back to child's side back in the Gerudo town there, and it's like, why am I even here? There's nothing for me to even do. But nevertheless, it's kind of fun to see where it takes you. Sometimes it's really convenient and saves the run quite a bit of time. Me personally, I do the Triforce hunts. There's Triforce pieces scattered throughout the Hyrule, and you have to find them. You can set however many pieces you want, 1 to 100. I like to keep it at 3, just for my own personal gameplay length desirability. You can change. You can slide it up, and from what I've tested so far, it doesn't really tell you, but you slide it up, the gameplay will be a little bit quicker because you're going to find them more frequently, whereas if you keep it towards the low end, you'll be searching most of the time you'll be searching for a longer period of time to find those 3 pieces and complete the game. That's pretty much it for this column. Moving next into the next column here, shuffle. What do you want to shuffle? Songs. I like to shuffle the songs and put those things anywhere. You can also make them at the song location. So where the Sun song is, you might learn the Requiem of Spirit. So you can keep the song shuffled still, but keep them at the vanilla locations, or you can put them in dungeon only locations or anywhere. Again, I keep them anywhere. Shop sanity. This is probably the most annoying one to try and explain, but I keep it at random, meaning the whole left side of the shop is going to be random at a set price, or a random price rather, and the items on the right side of the shop will be just vanilla stock items. Sometimes I've had to use the shop as part of the logic, so keep that in mind. If you do put this set to random, it might put an item in there that is required by logic to complete the game. Token sanity, very similar. All the Skulltula tokens, you can place them randomly in dungeons only to be shuffled. That way, the overworld ones will always be a Skulltula token, and the ones inside the dungeon could be an item, or conversely to that, the overworld only will be shuffled as to be items, and the dungeons will be Skulltula tokens only. Or you can shuffle them, and what I do is all tokens, which meaning any token anywhere could possibly be an any item. I'll go into a detailed logic here in a bit, but I do disable the soil patch Skulltula tokens from having anything important, because it's just a pain in the butt. I don't want to have to go find bugs and keep planting these things all over the place just to pop out a spider. So I can go ahead and I'll show you guys how to do that here in a second if you want to do the same thing. But for the most part, I always have these on. All tokens always shuffled. Also, moving down here, I don't shuffle the scrubs. I don't have the cows in. The cows you can turn on if you want to. That's if you want to play Epona song next to each cow and you'll get an item. There's like 6 or 7 cows in all of the game, so that can be tedious or fun, depending how you look at it. But I also shuffle down the Kokiri sword. I always shuffle that somewhere in the mix because I don't want it to always be in that same chest every time. I want that to be potentially something else. Ocarinas stay exactly where they're at. The Weird Egg, the Gerudo card, Magic Beans, and the Carpet Salesman, I keep these guys off because it can be quite a challenge if you turn these on. Ocarinas, it's nice to know where they're always at. The Weird Egg starts the Castle Town quest. Gerudo card, that'll get you in and out of the Gerudo Town without being seen, which we already set to be one of those earlier. So we only want to have to kill 1 guard to be able to progress into that area there. Magic Beans, what this does, you can turn this on if you want to. It'll turn the Bean Salesman into a random drop. Once you buy 60 rupees worth of items from him, not worth of items. Once you get to the 60 rupee reward, it'll give you a drop. And then what that also does, it'll put a pack of 10 beans somewhere for you to find out in the wild. I don't like to do that. I just need 3 beans anyway, so I'll just go to the guy. I know exactly where he's at all times. I'll buy the 3 beans and do my business with them and be on my way. So that's about this whole entire column here. Moving on to the next column. I'm sorry if I'm going kind of quick. There's just a lot of stuff here. Shuffle dungeon items column here. Maps and compasses. I always start with. If you start with them, that opens up the map chest and the compass chest. Like, it takes them out of the item pool basically, because if you always have them, you're not going to find them. So that's a potential for them to be a Triforce piece or something else that the game logic decides. So I like to go ahead and start with all the compasses and maps because you always end up with them anyway. Small keys, I like to shuffle these within the own dungeon. That way it's not a headache. I don't want to find a forest temple key out in the middle of Lon Lon Ranch. So I like to shuffle all of the keys within the own dungeon. That means it could be a spider, it could be anywhere that's a chest, it could be anything that drops a major item will have a key in it, or might have a key in it for that said dungeon only. Similarly to the Gerudo Fortress Tree keys, vanilla locations, it's just easier. You can also shuffle those as well. You can anywhere key sanity or any dungeon, overworld only. It's very. You can read here too as well what all it does, but I like to keep that on vanilla locations. It's that's within the Gerudo town. It's not the Gerudo training ground. That's within the actual where you're saving the carpenters. So to kill a boss, get a key, which doesn't really matter anyway because we're only going to kill one boss and get one key anyhow. With these settings enabled the way they are. Boss keys, again, same as small keys. We're going to have those shuffled anywhere within the own dungeon. Again, that could be in a big chest, small chest, medium chest, anywhere that drops an item for you to pick up and play a fanfare. That could have the possibility of being a boss key. Maps and compass give information. The very last setting. It's very nice to have this in case you get kind of confused or if you're doing Master Quest shuffling in there at all. It's nice to have the extra information that those give you, so might as well turn that on. And that wraps it up for this page. We're going to go into the very top again to the main tabs there, going from main rules over to detailed logic. Now this might look pretty confusing to you, but it's really not. Very first setting, all locations reachable is a must. You got to have that on. Nighttime sculptures expect you to have the sun song, meaning that in the logic of programming, the logic your path through the game, it won't put anything inside of a nighttime spider unless you have the sun song. So you can go kill them all you want. It might have something, but it won't be important until you've reached the sun song. So I'll leave that off because I want to run into the chance because you don't always find the song right off the bat. For me, it's usually one of the last things I find. So I don't want to exclude all of those nighttime spiders. So I'll keep that off. That way, the nighttime spiders could possibly be an item without having the sun song acquired. Moving down here, this is what we're going to exclude location-wise. It's very slim from the things that I exclude, but I'll explain them as I go along here. Here is a list of every single. They have them in categories here. You have them one by one down here. Every single check in the game is here on this left column. This column will be blank. This one is where you pick from. Say if you want to Sheik at the Colossus. I don't want that guy to give me an item. Guess what? We're going to exclude it. How you do is you click on it once, you click on add, it'll click it over into this middle column here. Sheik in the Ice Cavern. I'm going to go ahead and kick that back because I actually want that in there. However, these are the ones that I have excluded. You can see here the Lost Woods Ocarina Memory Game. Take that out. Take out all of the mini games, including the archery on horseback and the Gerudo place. Take that out, and then again all of the bean patches I have disabled, and the market for 10 big posts I have disabled. That's basically all I have disabled because these are just the tedious things that I don't like to do in any run. Because I'm emulating, even though I'm on an N64 controller, the inputs are still being emulated. It's not exactly the way I remember it, 25 years ago, as far as the aiming goes, and it's really tedious. Even using an original controller through an adapter and being emulated, it's still tedious to be able to aim. So I turn all those off, and then the bean patch bugs they're just an annoyance. I turn those off. So you can go through here and kind of customize your run however you like. Basically, yeah, however you want it to be turn on or turn off to turn things into the big shuffle. You want to have those basically just to find way of trimming down what you don't want to have to search for as far as items throughout the world. The next column over is enable tricks. This is this kind of goes in line with the other setting we had enabled right off the bat for glitchless. If you have glitchless, you can still enable tricks. Say if you don't know all the glitches and tricks, but you know a couple of them, then go ahead and poke through this list and see what you know how to do, and add them to the list of what you want the game to add into the logic. So I have fewer tunic requirements because you don't always need all of the tunics to get through the dungeons. As long as you have enough heart pieces, heart containers, you can get through them normally just fine. There's only one room in the water temple that you need a water tunic, and there's that main chamber in the fire temple that leads into that room where you push that block onto that flame pillar that eats up a bunch of time, as well as going from either side of the boss door, and that eats away some time there too. So you're gonna need some time to kill that boss. So it's nice to be able to get through that without even having the tunic. So what it's going to do is it's going to take those tunics out of the logic as a requirement. They're going to be around. Sure, you might find one, but they're not going to be required. It's going to expect you to have hearts before you can go in there. That's what this means. And then the other one I do is man on roof without hookshot. That's how you can, as a child, you can climb up that tower in Kakariko Village and take a side hop off to the left, and you'll land right smack dab on that fence and climb up the roof and talk to the guy without even having to have a hookshot. So that's always nice. There are more in here that I could enable very easily, but as far as logic goes, I don't want to mess with the logic settings too much. I want it pretty much to be open for the most part. So we're going to leave that the way it is. This is how I leave mine, at least. Very simple stuff. Very, very simple stuff. Stuff you don't want to search for, and stuff you don't want to be included in the logic. Alright, moving on to the next tab. Main tab at the top, starting inventory. Very basic stuff. I don't start with anything. I like to raw dog my Zelda games, so I don't start with anything. Starting hearts, 3 hearts, all the way up to 20 hearts, I start with 3. You can also look through the settings here. Start with consumables. It'll give you maxed out sticks and nuts, or max out your rupees on start, and then wallet upgrades also fill your wallet. I don't see the point in that. You find so many rupees anyway, and sometimes it's nice to be able to just say, hey, oh crap, I need to go find 50 rupees real quick. Where do I go? Let's go check Anju. So yeah, it helps me use my brain a little bit more, which is really primarily what I use these randomizers for. It's just a big puzzle. Moving on to the next tab here, go to the other tab. This is a fun tab. This is where you get all your cool stuff. So over here, the very first column, the time savers column, skip child Zelda. I don't like to do that because sometimes it's nice to play as both child and adult, even though there's less to do as a child as far as checks go. I feel like I'm always a child for longest, so it's nice to always have an option there to be both. Skip tower escape sequence. That's a cutscene. Skip that, escort Zelda down the tower thing. It's very helpful. Skip child stealth. That if you're going into the Zelda's castle, Hyrule Castle, for the first time, when you wake up Mario with the chicken and you crawl through that crawl space, it'll skip that whole entire stealth sequence and go straight to Zelda. Huge skip. Awesome. It's amazing. I love it. Similarly, you can skip the opponent race, which I do, because who wants to do that? Skip some minigame phases. It's pretty simple. It's really the biggest one here that I draw from is the Dampage Graveyard. He will just give you both rewards as soon as you finish, instead of having to do one under a minute. Complete mask quest. This will complete all of the Happy Mask Salesman quests right off the bat, so you can have access to all the masks right off the bat, which is really convenient. It saves a whole bunch of time. If you guys watch my live streams or YouTube videos, you will see that I always have this enabled, just because it's a convenient thing. It's a long process as it is, going through and delivering all these masks and getting back to the castle area, especially early in the game when you don't really have any warp songs. So I always have this completed and then go and do the Deku Theater and then pick up the Bunny Hood, and then I'm done with it. Also, down the line here, enable useful cutscenes. There's just a couple cutscenes in the game that will make it so you won't just get attacked right off the bat. It'll let you climb up, and the Twin Rova boss battle in the Spirit Temple, it'll keep that cutscene. That way you're not just having to climb up and then get ready real quick, and then while you're being attacked at the same time. So this is just useful cutscenes. They're useful. You might as well just keep them on. But all of the other ones will be either skipped entirely or fast forwarded through. Again, similarly below that, fast chest cutscenes. They won't take a big fanfare amount of time for you to open a chest. It'll just plop it open and you get the item. Free Scarecrow song. That's really nice. So once you do the Scarecrow song, you have it in your inventory. All you have to do is stand where you're supposed to stand to play the song to get the Scarecrow to pop up, and you just push your ocarina out, and Bob's your uncle. The Scarecrow just comes right out of the ground without you having to play the song, even though you already have it. But it requires you to have that song. Probably my favorite setting in this whole entire thing is the fast bunny hood from Majora's Mask. You will go 1.5 times faster with the bunny hood on. That's super convenient. Another one here, the Coco count for Anju. I put that at 0, so you can just walk right up to her, because I don't like having to run around and collect chickens. It's boring. I've done it a million times. However, you can set that to whatever number you wish, 1 through 7. I keep that at 0. And then similarly to that, the big pose target count, I set that to 1, so I only have to get one of them instead of 10 of them. However, in my playthroughs, as from that setting earlier, I have this whole entire section of the game basically turned off. It's going to be garbage every time I go to it, so I won't even have to do this. Moving to the middle column where the music is, I will turn off these up here. They're kind of weird. Randomized ocarina notes. You can play weird, silly notes. Say you're playing a Saria song, they're going to jumble it all up and play something completely weird. I turn that off because it's hard enough to play these songs as it is, let alone go and learn new ones every single time I play a game. So I keep that off. This is a fun one you can turn on if you'd like. I've used it before, but chest size matches content. So if it's a really important item or a heart container, it'll be a large chest. If it's a rupee or something of not consequential value, it'll be a small chest. I turn this off now. That way, inside of a small chest could be something really awesome, or inside of a big chest could be something really dumb. It flows better with me and vibes better with me as far as the whole nature of what a randomizer is supposed to be. So no hints on the items. That's basically what that means. Clearer hints. These are provided by the Gossip Stones. You can walk up to the Gossip Stone and get a hint, and it might say, "Oh, the hook shot can be found at the bottom of Lake Hylia," or whatever have you. So you can go through these and turn off requirements to read the hints, the distribution of the hint, where they're at, etc., etc. Text could be shuffled, etc., etc. As far as any text in the game. Damage multiplier, this is where you set your damage if you want to do one-hit kill, quadruple, double, normal, half. I keep it at normal. Next column over, item pool. I go to balanced items. There's not going to be a whole bunch of extra items, just a balanced regular set of items in each randomizer I play. Ice traps, these are tricks and traps that could be in a small chest, in a big chest. It could be anything that pops out of a spider. If you walk into it, you'll turn into an icicle, and it'll take damage for a minute, but it's just basically just a trap. What they can appear in, you can set, and then that's pretty much it for the traps. The adult trade sequence, the really long one, I start from the very beginning, and I go to the very end. That way I still have to do all of the trade sequence. Moving to the next column over here, cosmetics. This is going to be where you do all your cool stuff as well. Hold, you can set your default target option to hold or switch. We all know what that is. Display the D-pad HUD. This is pretty interesting that they added this. I think it's coming from the Majora's Mask one. Your ocarina is going to be down on the D-pad, so you no longer have to set that to a C button. As well as your iron boots are going to be left on the D-pad. Your hover boots are going to be right on the D-pad. That way you don't have to pause your screen and take them on and off every 5 seconds. Iron boots. Also, the up is unused. And as a child, I've talked to these guys on their Discord. I suggested a couple things. As a child, Link, since you can't use the boots, the left and right D-pad button are there's no point in having them. It's just not being used. So I suggested to them that they put the bunny hood and the lens of truth on either one of those inputs. That way you can have quick access to both of those without having to take up an item slot, which would be huge. Moving on down, we're going to go down to your colors, your tunics, your gloves, your mirror shield. I do completely random. Your UI colors in the next column over here, the heart container, magic, and then the buttons are all going to be random. Miscellaneous colors. Navi, we're going to have her in rainbow. Same with bomb shoes, you can change those around. The sword, inner, outer. I will set those to random and rainbow as well. The sword inner should be rainbow. And then bomb shoes will be bomb shoes, whatever. Sword trail duration. I keep it on lightsaber because it just looks cool. Basically, how long you want the trail to be on the screen. I do lightsaber because it's a super long trail. It's awesome. Okay, moving on to the final column here, sound effects. This is where you randomize your music and your sound effects for fanfares whenever you open a chest, etc., or win a minigame. Low HP, what your horse sounds like, what Nightfall sounds like, what the hover boots sound like, what your ocarina sounds like. Menu cursor, menu select, Navi overworld, and Navi enemy. Go ahead and select those all to random, or you can choose one. There's also one that's sitting in here for random ear safe for Navi and such like that. If you put on a random ear safe, it's not going to be the re-dead screaming in your ear every time she wants to talk to you. There's nothing worse than having one heart left, or less than a heart left, and having that re-dead scream in your ear a bunch of times. So go ahead and set that to random ear safe, like I did over here for the HP, if you would like. Now for the very final setting here, generate new seed. After all these settings are in place, we're going to click on generate seed. It's going to take us through this guy. We're going to watch the music box guy. They're shuffling items as we speak. They're creating the patch to apply to the game here in a second. There's a couple more things to do. We're not done yet. Don't go anywhere. And for me, I always open up in the new image, these images in a new tab, and keep this page open. It's always tabbed up in my bookmark. It's a pin tab, that way I always have it there. But I always open up these images in a new tab. That way I can copy them and put them inside of my OBS. That way I can give you guys the run key as well as the ID, which is in here right there. That's where you can send to your friends. Say, hey guys, I played this really cool seed. Go get it. And you would just give them this link, and they can download the patch. They have to provide their own ROM. Speaking of ROM, this is where we need to go to ROM generation here. This is where you would put your ROM in, browse for your ROM, look for the Z64. So unzip it, basically is what it's saying. Unzip it, put it in there, select it. Very easy stuff. Before you go, this is what tripped me up a few times when I made my first few randomizers. You're not done with the cosmetics and sound effects yet. Go through here. I don't know why they did this. They have you do it on the previous page, and then after you create the patch, they have you do it again. I don't know why, but go to cosmetics, redo all of this stuff for cosmetics and sound effects. And then down here, overwrite original cosmetics with things on this page. I suppose you could turn that off. And leave this completely the way it was, but just to be on the safe side, I'll do it twice. And then persist the files in the cache, that's completely fine. And then once you select your ROM, I'm just going to do it real quick. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. Let's go to Documentos. I always use the same stock ROM. I don't ever patch a patched ROM. It's just, never mind. I always use a fresh ROM. This is the zipped, compressed. This is my ROM. I always patch this ROM. Open that, and put it in there. And click on patch ROM. See, automatically downloaded. Now this is the file down here that it downloaded. This is what you're gonna want to open up with whatever emulator you're using. This is what you want to open up with any emulator that you're using. Me personally, I use Project 64. And how you do that, I would basically recent ROM, open ROM because it's still on my downloads. Go to my downloads. I'm gonna open it up, and it's gonna crash immediately. I'll show you guys how to fix that real quick. And see, it has this. It says, "Oh no, we cannot do. What do we do, mister?" So we go up here to options, configure. No, options, settings. Click on the game. This is for the game you just tried to run. Memory size, change this from 4 to 8. Click apply. Click OK. Graphics plugin, emulation settings. Make sure this is on old. If you're a streamer or recording, make sure this is on old. Otherwise, it's going to get goofy. Click apply. OK. Close everything down. Launch it all back up. File, recent ROM, the very last one you tried to open. Bada bing, bada boom. It'll start here any second. Don't make a liar out of me. And go. So there you folks have it. That's how you make a randomizer for Ocarina of Time. Very simple. Stupid easy. As you can see, everything's shuffled. The music's shuffled. His tunic is shuffled. I could go in here just to be on the safe side even further. We just finished that one. Okay, sound effects are randomized. Erase that. This one, A. Make a test. We're going to test it real quick. Okay, yep, pink tunic. All my buttons are different colors. The sounds are shuffled. Everything seems to be shuffled so far. And I like it. So guys, thank you very much for watching. If you guys ever had any problems with that, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I will be sure to answer any questions that you guys have regarding this topic. Stay safe, have fun, and keep randomizing, my dudes.